Anthony Fasano here from the Engineering Management Institute. I'm here with Stephen Morse of Grant Engineering. We did a full podcast episode with Stephen, but in this video, Stephen, what I want to ask you is you've had a successful career, you worked for engineering companies, you started Grant Engineering, which is a successful company that's growing right now. When you look back on your career, what would you say is one or a couple of the key drivers to the success you've had so far?
Thank you, Anthony, for having me today. If I reflect on two things that come to mind very quickly, they're from two different organizations that I participated in heavily. Before I started Grant Engineering, I was with Lewis Berger, and it's a wonderful organization that really excels in excellence and really drives very hard for quality. And my supervisor at the time, Mike McCloskey, was very, very diligent about ensuring quality in all of the products that we would send out to clients. And at the time, sometimes you get frustrated when it's 10 and 11 o'clock at night and you're a little hungry and a little tired, but Mike was always very insistent on maintaining quality at all costs. Once a deliverable goes out, he would say, it's very, very difficult to claw it back if you want to make changes. That's your opportunity. So always think about Mike and thank him. And secondly was my time with Engineers Without Borders. I reported in a way, it's a volunteer organization, but reported in a way to two different very creative and very hardworking women. One was Yana Aranda, who was the president at the time when I was the vice president, and she really lifted that organization and drove it in very creative ways, got involved in many different development projects and also creative projects through the organization itself, and expanding the reach of the New York City chapter. So her creativity and drive was very inspirational. And also Yuri Estrada, who was the project manager for the Matunda project when I got involved. Very creative, very passionate person, and was willing to take risks, use her engineering skills, but take risks in the way that she brought gathered folks together as volunteers and engineers, and also fundraising. Really personal risk to put herself out there and take chances to make herself uncomfortable. And what would that discomfort sort of allow her to propel forward and bring excellence to a particular project. So both of those women with Engineers Without Borders were very influential on my career.
That's great. And just a couple of key things there. Engineers Without Borders is a great organization, and we will link to their website. But it's a great way to, number one, do something really good for the community in terms of these projects. And going into these situations that really need engineering help and helping them, but also it's a great way career-wise for you to develop a lot of skills, as Stephen mentioned, some things that were really helpful for him. And I know some people that volunteered for Engineers Without Borders, and when they went on job interviews, that was what they talked about the whole time, because people kept asking them questions about it. And so it's helpful in that way as well. And also to Stephen's first point about quality, it made me think back to my high school teacher, English teacher, Miss Schneider, who used to redline the heck out of my reports. And I hated it at the time, but it definitely made me a much better writer and kind of content creator as well. And so it's those kind of, I think, people, mentors, leaders in your career that push you, that can help you. So I say that, so number one, if you have someone like that, be grateful for them. But also, if you are that person, if you are a manager, you have the ability to drive that impact on the people that work for you. So once again, Stephen Morse from Grant Engineering, thanks again for doing it. And remember, we did a full podcast interview with Stephen that we're going to link to, so you can listen to that as well. Thanks, Stephen.
My pleasure. Thank you, Anthony.
PPI is a proud sponsor of the Engineering Management Institute. Thinking about advancing in your career by taking your FE, PE, or SE exam? Visit ppi2pass.com to find everything you need to start preparing today.